I never imagined I would become the kind of woman people whispered about. The kind whose name was spoken carefully, followed by a pause, followed by judgment. For most of my life, I believed I was loyal, principled, and strong enough to walk away from temptation. That belief shattered the night I crossed a line I could never erase. My name is Emily Carter, and for 12 years I was married to Daniel Carter. Daniel was dependable in the way people rarely appreciate until it's gone. He worked long hours as a construction project manager, came home exhausted, and still made time to fix things around the house, help with dinner, and ask me how my day was. We had a quiet life in a quiet neighborhood, the kind that looked perfect from the outside. Inside, though, something had slowly gone missing. Loneliness doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it slips in quietly, disguised as routine. Daniel's closest friend, Mark Reynolds, had been part of our lives since before we were married. They grew up together, played football together, and stood beside each other through every major milestone. Mark was family. That was how Daniel always described him, and how I thought of him too, until I didn't. Mark started coming around more often after his divorce. He was hurting, visibly so, and Daniel felt responsible for keeping him afloat. Some nights Mark would stay late, sitting at our kitchen table long after Daniel had gone to bed, talking about how empty his house felt, how silence could be louder than noise. I listened. I sympathized. I told myself I was just being kind. That's how it started, not with desire, but with listening. Daniel's work schedule grew heavier that year. He was promoted, which meant longer hours, more stress, and less presence. He was physically there, but emotionally drained. When I tried to talk, he'd nod, kiss my forehead, and promise we'd talk later. Later rarely came. Mark, on the other hand, always stayed present. He noticed when I was tired, when I seemed quiet, when I lingered a little longer in the kitchen just to avoid the silence of the bedroom. He asked questions and waited for answers. He remembered things I said in passing. It felt harmless, comforting. I ignored the small warning signs. The way conversations grew deeper. The way eye contact lasted longer than necessary. The way I started looking forward to his visits more than I should have. The night everything changed, Daniel was away on a work trip. Mark stopped by to drop off tools he had borrowed. We talked. Then we talked more. The house felt too quiet, and the air felt heavy with things neither of us wanted to name. When Mark reached for my hand, I didn't pull away. That moment, just a touch, was the moment I could have stopped everything. I didn't. What followed wasn't romantic or beautiful. It was messy, confusing, and filled with immediate regret. Even as it happened, I knew I was destroying something sacred. But loneliness has a way of convincing you that damage is already done, that crossing one more line won't matter. I was wrong. The guilt settled in immediately. It clung to me like a second skin. I couldn't look at Daniel without feeling like I was lying just by breathing the same air. I avoided Mark entirely, refusing his calls, ignoring his messages. I told myself it was a one-time mistake. Something I could bury. But secrets rot. They don't stay buried. Daniel noticed the distance. He noticed my sudden silence, my restlessness, the way I flinched when he touched me. He asked if I was okay. I said yes. He asked if I was happy. I said I was tired. The truth surfaced not through confession, but through confrontation. One evening, Daniel came home early. His face was pale, his jaw tight. Mark had told him everything. Not out of cruelty, but out of guilt he couldn't carry alone. The betrayal didn't just come from me, it came from the person Daniel trusted most in the world. The look on Daniel's face when he asked me if it was true is something I will never forget. It wasn't anger, it was disbelief, followed by a kind of pain that steals the breath from your lungs. I admitted it. There was no point in lying anymore. What followed was the quiet collapse of a marriage. No screaming, no thrown objects, just long nights filled with silence and tears. Daniel moved out for a while. Mark disappeared from our lives entirely. Friends chose sides. Rumors spread. I lost more than a husband that year. I lost my identity. I lost the version of myself I believed in. Daniel and I tried counseling. We tried rebuilding. Some wounds, however, don't heal the way we hope. Trust. once broken at that level, never fully returns. We eventually separated, not with hatred, but with exhaustion. People often ask why I did it. They expect a dramatic answer. There isn't one. I did it because I was lonely and chose the wrong way to fill that emptiness. I did it because I failed to communicate, failed to set boundaries, failed to walk away when I should have. None of those reasons excuse what I did. They only explain it. Today, I live with accountability. I don't blame Daniel. I don't blame Mark. I don't blame circumstances. I own my choices and the consequences that followed. Infidelity isn't just about betrayal of another person. It's a betrayal of who you are and who you want to be. And sometimes, the hardest forgiveness to earn is your own.